guys, we are back for a little more paranormal. We are back with Believers Season 1, Episode 3. This episode, we are following a guy named Tommy. He lives in Clifton, Tennessee, and this took place in January 1978. Tommy and his wife Angela open up their very own honky-tonk. They are country like me. Anyway, they open up a honky-tonk, which is, it's just a bar, in 1978. And they ran it with their friend Pete. Pete was like the maintenance guy. Pete took care of all of the issues that they had. Plus, he was a little bit of a security guard. You know, Pete was their friend. Tommy was an aspiring country singer. So one of the reasons he opened this honky-tonk is so he could sing whenever he felt like it. And whenever the mood struck, he'd grab his guitar and jump on stage. And I say, go for that. I like that. They were also excited that Angie had just recently found out that she was pregnant. So they were about to become parents. However, finding out that Angie was pregnant started a weird chain of events. And it started to affect the family and Pete. When Tommy told Pete about Angie's pregnancy, Pete started acting a little odd and upset and extremely protective over Angie. And Tommy wondered what the heck is going on with Pete. Pete tells Tommy that there are some extremely bad spirits here in this bar and they will attack your wife. Tommy tells Pete to back off, hush up, shut up. He doesn't want to hear it. And he just wants to celebrate his wife's pregnancy and they want to be happy. They don't want to think any crazy, weird thoughts. Tommy tells Pete, don't even talk of any of that weird stuff to my wife. He doesn't want a problem. Pete says okay, he doesn't want to press any issues, he doesn't want to upset Tommy, so he's just gonna be quiet, even though Pete says there's no way that he's not gonna try to protect Angie as much as possible. Meanwhile, Angie is setting up a ladder. She wants to climb up on this ladder to fix some light fixtures. People that actually see the ladder shaking crazy like this is Angie and Pete. Angie is starting to be quite nervous being in the bar, and Tommy tells her that maybe she just needs a little break from the bar, some rest. So they decide to close the bar for a few weeks, and Tommy decides to take his country music on the road. They're gonna do a little traveling, do some shows around Tennessee. In February of 1978, they come back, they reopen the bar, and Peter tries to tell Tommy again. Bad spirits are in this bar, and bad things are gonna happen, and Tommy tells Pete again to shut up. He doesn't want Angie to hear any of this conversation. When they walk away from where Angie is, some force out of nowhere.
She said something forced her head into the sink. Something was trying to drown her.
Oh, hell no. Really? 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 And Tommy doesn't believe what's happening. She tells him that something was pushing her head down in that water, and Tommy thinks that she's still, he thinks that maybe she's overreacting, maybe she's overthinking it. He says, well, clearly something happened, but he doesn't actually believe, that something unseen attacked his wife. He says all he knew is that the bar of his dreams had just became his wife's nightmare. You think? Pete decides he's not even going to listen to Tommy anymore. He's going to talk to her. He sets aside some time. He tells Angie himself what happened at that bar. He tells her that there is a very dark history of this bar that goes back 100 years, and the pregnant women that are associated with that bar have always died. Oh, you already know. You already know. Tommy, see, no. What's gonna happen is we're gonna have to break up. Something is gonna have to change, Tommy. Listen, I cannot work at the bar anymore. I cannot come into the bar anymore. I will not be here to watch your performances anymore. Listen, When you come home from the bar, I will be dousing you at the door with holy water. Like, this is not going down. Either that or that dream bar is up for sale. One or the other. I'm just saying, that's a lot to deal with.
The bottles were literally flying off the shelves behind the bar, like someone was throwing them at her.
Are you all right? Are you okay?
Angie goes to the hospital. She is having complications with her pregnancy. She was there for 4 days. Luckily, she made it through, and he was able to take her home so that she can get some rest. Tommy, out of nowhere, gets this late night call from one of his friends who lives close by the bar. He tells Tommy that he needs to get his butt down to the bar right away because he is hearing some weird, loud noises coming from the bar. And the bar is closed. He tells Tommy it is a whole bunch of clanging and banging happening in your basement. Tommy goes down to the club and he hears the clanging and banging and heads straight down to the basement, which is a no. I would never go down to that basement. This place is supposed to be closed. Okay, I'm gonna call the police. Like, I would not go down there. He didn't have a gun. I mean, what? He gets downstairs and Pete is actually downstairs with a sledgehammer.
I saw Pete. He was hacking away at my concrete floor. That wasn't Pete. It was like he was possessed.
Honey, no. I would have ran out of there like my hair was on fire. Do you hear me? My hair was on fire is how I would have ran out of there. Tommy said he knew right then that that was not Pete. He knew right then that something was wrong with Pete. So he got on the phone and he called the minister. See, look at Tommy. Look at Tommy. He called the minister, just like me. I would have been on the phone with Pastor Anderson. He called the minister, and the minister came right over. See, Pastor Anderson would have came over too. His minister was Reverend Stone. Reverend Stone showed up. He told Reverend Stone everything he knew about the bar, what happened to Angie, what was going on with Pete. Pete is down here digging in the basement. He tells Tommy that there is some sort of dark portal in the bottom of the basement, and Pete is possessed. Right then, the Reverend Stone decides to perform an exorcism on Pete right in the bar. Oh no! Listen, is it possible that you could perform this exorcism by yourself, Pastor Stone? Because, can I call somebody? Do you have some reverend friends that can back you up? Because I gotta go. Angie's at the house, she needs me. Tommy stays because Peter is his friend and he wants to be there. He knows that Reverend Stone needs a little backup. They recorded this.
In the name of Jesus, I command you to leave. He's fine! Leave him! He's fine, man of God! Leave him! Help me! They won't let me!
Listen. The Reverend, he said they poured some concrete over that hole that Peter put in the basement. They passed a blessing over the hole. His baby was born. She was a beautiful, healthy little girl. And he held on to the bar, honey. They put a little sign in the bar. Anyway, to sold that place. I don't care, Reverend Stone. Thank you for the blessing. Thank you for putting the concrete down here in the basement of Pete or whoever did it. But we are selling this place. I just can't do it. I don't care if somebody came and hosed down the entire building with holy water. We are out. The next lady that we're following, her name is Julia, and she is from Connecticut, and this takes place in 2014. Okay, don't adjust your video. I was wearing green a few seconds ago, right? Well, in the editing process, I realized that something went wrong with the sound, so I had to refilm this. So we're gonna pick up right at Julia. So Julia and her husband bought a new dog and they named the dog Jenny. The new dog was actually for their daughter and they picked her up at a local shelter. However, they realized after a week, Jenny was acting very odd. And at first they thought maybe she's just acting weird because she's not used to the house, she's not used to us. Let's give her a chance. But even after that week, she was still acting weird. Julia says now she realizes that her dog must have picked up that something is wrong in that house. Something is clearly not okay there, and she was, trying to alert them, and also she was afraid. Julia says that she was alone in the house and she heard a noise that sounded like a gunshot. And she said the sound came from her husband's man cave, which was in the basement, and that her husband is a gun owner and he has a gun safe in the basement. So she got extremely nervous about this and she decides to go check it out. She says that when he's not in the room is always locked and the gun safe is also always locked. So when she goes down to investigate, she realizes that the room is unlocked. Luckily, when she gets in there, she realizes that the gun safe is still locked, but she still couldn't figure out what was that sound. She said that the entire time that she was down there checking out the room, making sure there were no guns laid around anywhere, she felt odd, and she said she felt that she was not alone and that she was being watched the entire time she was in that room. Let me tell you something. I have never had anything like that happen to me. I have never felt that I was being watched, but let me say this. If I ever did get that feeling, I'm gonna have to wait for my husband to get home out on the porch. I cannot go back in there. I'm just saying. She says that when she left out of the room, she made sure that the door was locked. Later that night, her and her husband were sound asleep and they were awakened by a loud gunshot blast, which freaks her husband out, her daughter, and their dog. The dog starts barking uncontrollably. She says that she was deathly afraid to the point where her husband grabs another gun that he has in the bedside nightstand. And I'm thinking, her husband needs guns. Sir, you got a gun safe downstairs with a ton of guns. You have a gun right here in the nightstand. How many other guns are in the home? I am afraid of guns. Everybody has a right to own a gun. I'm just scared. Oh my gosh. Her husband goes running down the stairs. He is trying to search the house. He thinks there is an intruder in their house and he is going to handle his business. That I can appreciate. He decides he's going to go downstairs and again check the gun safe, make sure that all of his firearms are secure. When he gets downstairs, he realizes that one of his trophies has fallen off the wall. Now by trophies, I mean those taxidermy animals that people kill. Yeah, that. Fallen off the wall. When people hang stuff up like that, those things are secure. They don't just fall off the wall because they have paid a lot of money to have that stuff taxidermied. It was a huge moose head or something. That is not gonna just fall off the wall. He says it ended up landed right in the middle of the room. Her husband runs up the steps to check on the daughter. He wants to make sure she's okay. But before he goes up there, he hangs the moose head back on the wall. While he's checking on the daughter, Julia is still downstairs in the basement looking around. Out of nowhere, this bright light comes from nowhere. She grabs her cell phone and takes photos of this bright light because she is sure nobody's gonna believe her when she tells them what happened. She says as soon as she takes the photos of the light just disappears and she hauled tail out of there. She says she ran back up those steps faster than she has ever ran. When she gets upstairs, she noticed the dog Jenny is lying on the floor. She went over to check on Jenny and Jenny is dead. Jenny died. When they take Jenny to the vet does a autopsy on Jenny, which is probably called something else for a pet, but you get where I'm going. And she says that Jenny died from extreme cortisol levels, which is a hormone that goes up when a dog is frightened. And she said that she believes that Jenny was actually frightened to death. You know what they say. On a lot of these paranormal shows that I have watched, they say that animals can sense spirits before people. So, you get a dog acting weird, call Pastor Anderson, get some holy water, start the prayer chain, because there's something wrong. She was so upset over the fact that Jenny passed away, she totally forgot that evening to tell her husband or her daughter about the light in the basement. When she finally does let them know what happened and shows them the pictures of the light and everything in the basement, her daughter freaks out, and her daughter says, "Something is in this house and has killed my dog, and I'm not living here or staying here until you figure out what it is." And she leaves. Honey, listen. Her daughter is after my heart. She is after my heart. I believe in leaving. I believe in the run. Run, honey, go. She goes over to one of her friends' house and lets them know, I'm going to be living here until they figure something out. You know what? Go, girl. Okay? I will send some money over there with you so you can give it to your friend's parents for letting you stay. Because ask them if mom can come. I'm not lying. So Julia says she figured, oh, she'll just go to her friend's house. All this stuff is just gonna blow over. It's gonna turn out that it's really just nothing, you know. Well, really, girl? That's what you thought? No. It didn't blow over. It actually blew up a little bit later that same night. Later that night, her and her husband hear the gunshots again, but this time it's accompanied with a loud scream. Her and her husband grab the gun and run down the stairs again. You know, we're not running down these steps again. We are not searching this house again. You know what we are gonna do though? We're gonna run down these steps and run out the front door to the car. Let's play a game. Who can get to the car first? I promise if I get there first, I will not pull off until you have gotten in the car. I mean, what? This time, when they're running down to search, they hear voices in their house.
That's coming from outside. Wait here.
The voices weren't outside. I saw a shadow on the wall. It was in the shape of a man.
Done. I am done. I am outside, standing next to the car door on my cell phone talking to Pastor Anderson. There is no way that I am down there with the voices. Julia's husband thinks, oh, this must be coming from outside, so he leaves her down there. That to me is grounds for divorce. You just gonna leave me? Okay, you just gonna leave me down here in this basement. That shadow man would have saw my shadow running up the steps. I don't play that. Shadow guy. While her husband is outside and she done took off running outside too, approximately at 3:30 a.m., her neighbor, Susie, stops by the property because she was concerned after she saw her husband, Rick, outside. Okay, there's a lot to work with there. Susie, what is you doing up at 3:30? Did you hear gunshots? Are the gunshots so loud they can be heard by the neighbors? And, you know, come on in here, Susie. If I was Susie, I'd have stayed on the porch, but she went in the house. They went back in. Stand by the car. She said she went ahead and told Susie everything. She said at first she didn't want to, but it just sort of all just spilled out. And she told Susie everything that happened. And Susie told her, she says, well, can I ask you guys a question? And they said, sure. She said, did you know anything about the people who previously lived here? She tells them that the people who previously owned the property had a very disturbed son who used to torture animals and shot himself downstairs in their basement in front of a friend. Disturbed is right. Torturing animals, that is a no-go and an early sign of serial killer. Anyway, she says that the friend told the police that they were downstairs goofing around with a loaded gun that they didn't realize was loaded, and he pulled the trigger and killed himself. Julia said that was it for her, totally. 2 days later, her and her husband Rick hired a private investigator named Terry who specialized in unexplained activity. Terry takes a video camera downstairs to the man cave. Terry pulls out what the paranormal investigators use called a ghost box so that Rick and Julia could ask this ghost some questions. See, I don't want to ask no questions. Once you have verified that there is a ghost that lives here, we no longer live here. So have at it. I don't want to ask questions. That to me is pretty close to having a seance. I don't do it. Rick, where is your wallet? Give me your cards. I've got to go. She says that she has never been that scared in her entire life to actually be talking to the spirit of a boy who killed himself, and she just didn't know what to do or say. Me personally, if I have been forced to talk in this ghost box, I would have said, hey boy, do you see any light? Go towards it. Get in there. Like, what? And by the way, Rick, what are we doing? Let's go. Listen, she asked him to leave, and he said, no. Now listen, honey. Now here's where Julia becomes my person. She says she believed it. She packed up her stuff and she left. Her and Rick got a rental house down the street, and they have been in that house ever since. And that current house is still up for sale. They cannot get a buyer for it. See what I'm saying, honey? I cannot. We would have been out of there. I'm sorry. But I don't play these kind of games. Have the house. Have the house. Gunshots screaming all night, every night, all you want to, buddy. But we won't be here for that. And by the way, you killed my dog. I mean, it would have been a... Why am I talking to this ghost box again? I mean, that's a lot, right? Right, so we're moving on to our next story, and this lady's name is SLOANE, and I might pronounce it wrong several times because I keep getting it confused with somebody else. Anyway, her name is SLOANE. This takes place in Colorado in April of 2019. SLOANE has adopted a son named Aaron. She says when she first brought him home, she realized he was extremely shy and withdrawn, and he just stopped talking altogether. She says he stopped talking, wouldn't say a single word. She said that Aaron had been in the foster care system since he was 2 years old, and she thought, oh, okay, he's shy, he's been passed around. It's gonna take a while for him to warm up to us, get to know us and consider us family, so let's just give him some time. 6 days go by and still not one word. Can you imagine that? 6 days with a child and he won't say one word to you? Not even no? Not even I hate you? Or you not my mama? Nothing? That would make me so sad. I don't know. I think I would be dancing puppets, singing songs, putting out all the crayons. Like, you know, I would be doing everything to make him talk to me. That would hurt. That would hurt. SLOANE has a wife named Emma. Emma starts to think about his refusal to speak, and she was wondering maybe he has PTSD, which is a good idea because of him being in the foster system and stuff. Maybe he had some pretty bad foster parents in the past and just, you know, didn't trust these people, didn't want to, you know, listen to the girls. So she started doing all kinds of little things to try to make him happy. You know, she wanted to make him comfortable and let him know that he was loved and that he was safe with them, that they would never do anything to him, they would never hurt him, and that they only wanted the best. And she wanted to keep reminding him that they are his forever family. She says that one night they got their wish, but it was not what they expected at all. She says that in the middle of the night, out of nowhere, Aaron starts screaming for help. She says that was the most terrifying scream she has ever heard in her life, and her and SLOANE were freaked out. They run into his room and he is screaming, the lady, the lady. They did not understand what he was talking about. They thought he had just had some nightmare about some lady. They believed that it was some lady from the past, maybe a foster parent or something, that had done something to him that hurt him, and she was scaring him in his dream. SLOANE said that it was the worst feeling, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to protect him or what to say to calm him down. The next morning, Emma got the idea to ask him if maybe he could draw them a picture of what was scaring him. They thought if they had him draw it, they could understand what was going on with him, and maybe that way they would be able to bring the conversation together with him. So he draws a picture of this lady, And Salon and Emma asked him, was that one of them? And he says no. So then they asked him, is this a lady that you've known in the past? And he says no. And then he looks at them and he says, it's the lady. And he runs off. He is extremely upset and he's back to giving them the silent treatment. Oh my God. I don't know what I'd have done. I would have probably tried to get some sort of therapist to see if they could come see him or if we could take him to them, because at this point, I'm scared that we're never going to be able to bond with us. He's back to giving us the silent treatment again, and he's afraid about something, but I don't know what it is. So over the next week, he was too scared to sleep in his room, and Salon started to feel scared and nervous about the whole situation, and she started having insomnia. She couldn't sleep at all because the whole time she was so worried that something was going to happen to him, so she stayed up at night keeping an eye on him. She ended up hanging up and putting cameras all over the house, so she's watching these cameras, making sure that nothing happens to him. She is concerned and she wants him to be happy and healthy and safe. So one night, Emma and Aaron are asleep, and then Salon gets an alert on her phone that one of the cameras in the kitchen had detected motion. However, she didn't see anything in the kitchen at all. Erin wakes up and she thinks that Aaron is looking at her, but Aaron is actually looking past her.
Something was behind me.
Yeah, you already know. I'm feeling it. I am already in the room packing Aaron's suitcase. I am packing a bag for me and telling Emma, honey, if you come on now, because we cannot be here. She says that she doesn't know what to do, so she calls the real estate agent to find out if she knows any information about the previous owner. It turns out the previous owner's name was Julia, and she lived in the house for 30 years. Then she moved into a retirement village and they purchased the house. Salon goes over to the retirement village to meet Julia. And as soon as Salon says, my son, Julia says he sees her. And Salon is like, excuse me, sees her who? And she says, my sister Diana. She's been gone for 25 years now. She said that her sister Diana always wanted to have a child, but things didn't work out. And when she was 40 years old, she got pregnant, but she lost her child. Then she lost her life and she died as well. She said that she laid her to rest wearing a white dress, which was one of her favorite dresses, but her spirit still lives in the house. Well, at this point is when I'm looking at Julia telling her, listen, she's not welcome there no more. You moved to the retirement home. It's time for you to tell Diana to move over to the retirement home too. Be together. Come to the retirement home or go into the light. One of the two. You evicted, Diana. Salon goes home and tells Emma everything. Emma does not believe her. Emma thinks this is a bunch of crap, so she adds more cameras into the kitchen. However, she is standing in the kitchen and so is the lady. But Emma doesn't see anything. However, the cameras do.
I was looking at a ghost.
She says at that point, Emma realized that her son is not disturbed. This is a ghost that is terrifying him. 2 days later, they had Julia come over to the house. Julia sits down and has a talk with Aaron. She gives Aaron this little figurine that used to belong to her sister, and she tells Aaron that she knows that he's seeing her sister in the house, but her sister is a good girl and she would never hurt him. She just wants to protect him. She says that after that day, Aaron has not been terrorized by her sister Diana anymore, and that they think that Diana is still there, but she doesn't come and visit as often, and Aaron is used to her now, so he doesn't freak out or get scared. I'm telling you what, excuse me, say what now? Listen, I don't want your figurine. I want you to pack Diana up and take her to the retirement home. Like, what? Why can't you go to the retirement home with Julia? She's here right now. You can just jump in her car. I mean, really, I would move. I'm sorry, honey. I cannot live here knowing that she is here. She was your family, not ours. these people are nuts. Girl, Julia, bye. Bye to your sister too. I apologize. I don't want you hurt and all, but listen, take your family with you. These paranormal situations freak me out. But I'm excited about the next one, so until next time. Bye.